Klay Thompson is reportedly on his way to the Los Angeles Lakers, where he joined Luka Doncic and Bronny James in one of the biggest moves of the offseason. The framework is already taking shape. Dallas is listening to offers, and Klay reportedly wants the move. Let me catch you up. The Lakers have been shopping for a shooter all summer, and one name keeps surfacing above the rest. According to reporting from Heavy Sports, the Los Angeles Lakers continue to seek upgrades at the wing position, and they've been linked to four-time NBA champion Klay Thompson and veteran forward PJ Washington in the latest trade rumors. This isn't some throwaway mention buried in a mock draft column. It's a structured trade idea with names, numbers, and cap mechanics attached to it. Here's what one version of the framework looks like. The Lakers would receive Thompson and Washington. In exchange, the Dallas Mavericks would take on the final 2 years of Jared Vanderbilt's contract while bringing back Jaden Hardy. And to round out the package for rookie Cameron Carr and a future first-round pick swap, Dallas would also absorb the expiring deals of Jake LaRavia and Dalton Knecht. That's a real trade proposal being floated by people who track cap sheets for a living, not idle speculation. Another version, this one reported through The Athletic and picked up across multiple outlets, has the Lakers bringing in Detroit as a third team. Under that framework, the Lakers would receive Klay Thompson and a 2027 second-round pick via Detroit, while the Mavericks would receive Dalton Knecht and second-round picks in 2031 and 2032, both via the Lakers. The appeal there is obvious. The Lakers land Thompson without giving up any real rotation pieces or taking on extra long-term salary. Now, why Thompson? Why now? Start with his contract situation. He's entering the final season of the 3-year contract he signed with Dallas in 2024 and is scheduled to earn $17.5 million in 2026-27 before hitting unrestricted free agency in 2027. That expiring money makes him movable. Teams love expiring contracts because they're easy to plug into a trade without long-term risk. And Dallas actually wants to move him. Multiple insiders have confirmed the front office has been calling around. Per one report, the Mavericks have explored his trade market, but have yet to find a deal, according to sources with rival teams who spoke to The Athletic on condition of anonymity. That's not a rumor invented by a fan account. That's Dallas actively working the phones. But here's the twist that makes this specific deal so interesting. Thompson wants it too. Christian Clark of The Athletic put it plainly, reporting that Thompson would welcome a return to Los Angeles, where he spent part of his childhood and still owns a home. That's not a hypothetical. That's the player's own camp signaling where he wants to end up. Now bring Luka Doncic into this. Thompson already knows what it's like to share a court with him. They were briefly teammates in Dallas before the trade that sent Doncic to Los Angeles. One Lakers insider laid out exactly why that chemistry matters, explaining that Thompson has already played alongside Doncic after spending time with him in Dallas before the Mavericks traded the Slovenian superstar. In fact, that same report notes one of the main reasons Thompson chose the Mavericks over the Lakers in 2024 was Luka. The guy picked Dallas specifically to play with Doncic. Now Doncic is a Laker. The math writes itself. Then there's Bronny James. He's not walking into this as a headline name, but he's very much part of the equation. The Lakers guaranteed his contract for this season, and during the 2025-26 season, James appeared in 42 games for the Lakers, averaging 2.9 points, 1.2 assists, and 0.5 rebounds, and continued to show progress as a perimeter defender and secondary playmaker. If Thompson lands in Los Angeles, he'd be sharing a backcourt rotation with a young guard trying to carve out his own identity, no longer in his father's shadow, since LeBron has already left for Philadelphia. So that's the shape of it right now. A shooter who wants out of Dallas, a front office in Dallas that wants to move him, a Lakers team stacked around Doncic that's been quietly building the framework to get him, and a young guard already in the building who'd be right there watching it unfold. The pieces are on the board. Now let's rewind and understand how Thompson even got here in the first place. Because 2 years ago, this exact reunion was on the table, and he turned it down. To understand why this trade story hits differently, you have to go back to what Klay Thompson actually was before any of this. This is a guy who spent 13 seasons as one half of the most feared shooting duo basketball has ever seen. Drafted 11th overall by Golden State back in 2011, Thompson paired with Stephen Curry to form what fans everywhere came to know as the Splash Brothers. The numbers on that partnership are staggering. Across 13 seasons and 4 championships, Thompson and Curry became the most productive duo in the league, and they were the focal point of a team that reached 6 NBA Finals and won 4 of them. 4 titles, 6 finals appearances. That's not a good run. That's a dynasty built on jump shots. Between 2015 and 2019, the two of them did something that hadn't been done in generations. Curry and Thompson made 5 consecutive All-Star teams, becoming the first backcourt to achieve the feat since Celtics legends Bob Cousy and Bill Sharman in the 1950s. And during the same stretch, they became the first backcourt ever to reach 5 consecutive NBA Finals. Then in 2022, they added a 6th Finals trip to that resume, which only cemented what people already suspected. This was arguably the greatest backcourt in league history. But Thompson's Warriors story wasn't just about winning. It was about coming back from things that should have ended a career. He tore his ACL in the 2019 Finals. Then he tore his Achilles before he could even finish rehabbing the knee. 2 catastrophic injuries, back to back. He was out for what amounted to 941 days recovering from knee and Achilles injuries before he even stepped back on an NBA floor. And when he did return, he didn't fade quietly into a bench role. He helped the Warriors win a 4th title within that 8-year stretch, proving the shooting touch never left him even after his body had been through hell. Then, in the summer of 2024, it all ended. Thompson left the only franchise he'd ever known. The numbers on the exit deal were clean and simple. He agreed to sign with Dallas for 3 years and $50 million, a deal that marked the first time in over a decade that he'd suit up for anyone other than Golden State. And here's the part that connects directly to everything happening now. The Lakers were in on him back then too. Getty's own captioning of the moment noted plainly that the Lakers pursued Klay Thompson when he left the Warriors in 2024. So why didn't he take it? 2 reasons, and both of them have collapsed since. First, Dallas had just made the finals. Thompson believed that roster was 1 shooter away from a championship. A report on his decision-making explained that one of the main reasons the 4-time champion moved to Dallas was that they made the finals in 2024, though they lost to the Boston Celtics, and many believed they were 1 player away from winning a championship. Second, and more personally, there was Luka. Thompson envisioned building a shooting partnership around Doncic's playmaking, the same way he'd built one around Curry's. A Lakers-focused trade breakdown spelled it out. Thompson expected to space the floor alongside Doncic and Kyrie Irving. There's a human layer to this decision too, one that makes the current Lakers pull even heavier. Thompson's own father, Mychal Thompson, played center for the Lakers from 1987 to 1991 and won 2 championships in that uniform. He wanted his son to come home. According to ESPN's reporting at the time, Mychal admitted afterward, it was close when Klay ultimately picked Dallas instead. He tried to sell his son on wearing the same jersey he once wore. It didn't work. Klay went east instead. Then everything Thompson built his decision on fell apart within a matter of months. His Dallas partnership with Doncic barely got off the ground before the earthquake hit. That partnership lasted just 21 games before the Slovenian's departure. Dallas shipped Doncic to Los Angeles for Anthony Davis in one of the most stunning trades the league has ever produced. And just like that, the exact reason Thompson signed with the Mavericks no longer existed. The floor spacing partnership he pictured with Doncic was suddenly happening, just in the wrong city, wearing the wrong jersey. On top of that, Kyrie Irving, the other piece of that original Dallas vision, went down with a torn ACL and missed the entire 2025-26 season. So the roster Thompson signed up for in 2024 was gone in every meaningful way within about a year. What was left was a rebuilding project. Dallas turned its focus toward Cooper Flagg and a run of younger assets. The front office stocked up on more young talent this summer, taking Morez Johnson Jr. and Sergio De La Reyes in the 2026 NBA draft, and also bought low on Zachary Researcher to take a chance on a former top pick. None of that was built with a 36-year-old veteran shooter in mind. Thompson's production had also cooled off from his Warriors peak, which only made the roster mismatch more obvious. Over his time in Dallas, he's appeared in 141 games, averaging 12.9 points and 2.8 rebounds on 38.7% shooting from deep. Respectable numbers for a rotation shooter, but nowhere near the all-star level that once made him a max-caliber piece. Last season alone, he appeared in 69 games, making 8 starts and averaged 11.7 points, 2.1 rebounds, and 1.4 assists, while shooting 39.3% from the field and 38.3% from 3. Still knocking down threes at a high clip. Just not the engine of an offense anymore. A specialist, not a centerpiece. So here's where that leaves things. The exact scenario Thompson wanted in 2024. Shooting next to Doncic, playing for a franchise on the rise, exists right now. It's just wearing a different colored jersey than he originally signed up for. And this time, according to every recent report, he's not turning it down. If Thompson wants out, the next question is obvious. Does Dallas actually want him gone? Every signal coming out of the organization points to yes, though the front office has its own complicated math to work through. Start with the man running the show. Masai Ujiri stepped in as Dallas's new president, and he inherited a roster reshaped by an offseason full of trades, draft additions, and free agent moves. One report framing the situation described it plainly. Dallas has yet to find a deal for the veteran sharpshooter, and a new report indicates Thompson would welcome a return to Los Angeles if the opportunity arises. All while the uncertainty comes as the Mavericks reshape their roster under new leadership. Following an active offseason that included multiple trades, draft additions, and free agent signings, there's a roster math problem sitting underneath all of this too. Dallas currently has too many bodies under contract. As it stands, with 16 standard contracts already on the books, Dallas must reduce its roster before the regular season, making Thompson's situation one of the key storylines to monitor. Somebody has to go. Thompson, at 36 years old and on an expiring deal, is the obvious candidate to be that guy. Not because of anything he did wrong, but because his timeline simply doesn't match where this roster is headed. Sean Devaney of Heavy Sports summed up the front office's thinking about as bluntly as it gets, writing that Thompson doesn't fit Dallas's timeline, and if the Mavs can get anything, youth, a few second rounders, for him, they will. That's not a shooter being pushed out, because his game fell off a cliff. Devaney's own reporting noted right alongside that comment that he's still a 38% three-point shooter. Dallas isn't trying to dump a bad contract. They're trying to cash in an asset before his value depreciates any further, while building around a young core that doesn't need a veteran locker room presence. Christian Clark's reporting for The Athletic captured the exact uncertainty hanging over Thompson's situation in Dallas, noting that it remains unclear if Klay Thompson, the Mavericks' leading three-point shooter in each of the past 2 seasons, will be back in Dallas for a 3rd year. Read that twice. He's been the team's best shooter for 2 straight seasons, and they still might not want him back for year 3. That tells you everything about where Dallas's priorities sit right now. Production isn't the deciding factor anymore. Fit with a youth movement is. Not every insider agrees the front office is desperate to move him, though. Jake Fisher's reporting adds a wrinkle to the story. Dallas doesn't want him walking away for nothing. Fisher explained that the Mavericks have been keen on wanting to keep Klay Thompson for a trade, adding that the word has been consistent, though, that Dallas does not want to buy out Klay Thompson and see him walk for nothing. That single detail rules out one whole category of outcome. Thompson isn't getting released outright. If he leaves Dallas, it's going to be in a trade that returns something, even if it's minor. A 2nd-round pick, a young rotation piece, something. That stance actually complicates the Lakers' pursuit more than fans might realize, because Los Angeles doesn't exactly have a stockpile of tradable young talent lying around. One breakdown of the situation pointed out precisely that limitation, noting Thompson may not generate a ton of trade interest right now, because he is headed for unrestricted free agency after next season. Teams are wary of surrendering real value for a rental, a guy who could simply walk in free agency the following summer anyway. And the Lakers aren't the only ones circling. Miami has been floated as a suitor too, with one report describing the Miami Heat as the most known suitor for Thompson at this time, hoping he shakes free. Now that adds competitive pressure to whatever the Lakers are trying to put together. If Los Angeles hesitates too long on a framework, another team could simply step in and get a deal done first. Still, the direction of travel is clear. Dallas is moving toward a Cooper flag-centered rebuild. Thompson, for all his shooting, doesn't fit that timeline. He's an expiring contract on a team trying to get younger, and the front office has made no secret that they're picking up the phone whenever a team calls with his name attached. The only real debate left in Dallas's front office is what they can get back, not whether they're willing to let him go. Now flip to the other side of this. Why do the Lakers actually want him? And what would it cost them to make it real? Start with the roster Los Angeles has already built around Doncic this offseason, because the version of the team pursuing Thompson right now barely resembles the roster from a year ago. One breakdown of the offseason overhaul laid it all out. The Los Angeles Lakers have completely reshaped their roster around Luka Doncic, making more additions than any other team while trying to build a version of the teams he had in Dallas. Familiar names are gone. That same report notes LeBron James, Marcus Smart, Rui Hachimura, Luke Kennard, and DeAndre Ayton are gone, while the Lakers added Walker Kessler, Quentin Grimes, Colin Sexton, Sandro Mamukelashvili, Matisse Thybulle, and Zaire Williams, all while locking up Austin Reeves on an extension. That's a defense and athleticism-first rebuild. What it's missing is exactly what Thompson provides. As that same report put it, the new roster has more defense, athleticism, and depth. But no team built around Doncic can ever have too much shooting. Doncic needs shooters around him who can punish defenses the second they help off him. Thompson, even in his diminished form, is still one of the most dangerous off-ball shooters alive. The Lakers' first choice this summer wasn't actually Thompson. It was Jonathan Kuminga. Multiple reports confirm Los Angeles has been chasing the young forward all off-season, with one outlining that, to help the push for a title, the Lakers are looking to add Jonathan Kuminga, a former lottery pick, to the mix, but have failed to come to terms with a star free agent. That pursuit has reportedly stalled, momentum has cooled, and Los Angeles hasn't been willing to include real draft capital to get it over the line. That opened the door for alternative names. Thompson became one. PJ Washington became another. On Washington, the appeal is obvious given his own history with Doncic. He was a key role player in helping the Luka Doncic-led Mavericks reach the 2024 NBA Finals. But his money makes him a tougher swallow. One salary breakdown flagged that Washington still has a sizable contract that the Lakers would have to take on, at $89 million, guaranteed through the 2029-30 season, with no team or player options, and his shooting has actually regressed. His three-point percentage fell from 38.1% to 32.5% last season. Thompson, by comparison, is cheap, short-term, and still shooting nearly 40% from deep. That makes him the lower-risk swing for a front office that's already spent most of its flexibility this summer. What role would Thompson even play if he landed in LA? Nobody's pretending. He'd be a 35-minute-a-night starter again. The framing from most reports centers on a bench shooting specialist role. One breakdown put it directly: the Lakers don't need the Klay Thompson of the Warriors. Instead, they'd want him to take a smaller role, playing around 20 to 25 minutes per night, while providing consistent shooting off the bench and closing certain games, where spacing is the most important thing. With other Lakers wings expected to soak up the tougher defensive matchups, that same report notes, with defenders like Quentin Grimes and Matisse Thybulle expected to handle tough defensive assignments. Thompson could focus almost entirely on the one thing that he does best: hitting shots. The cap gymnastics required to actually pull it off are the real obstacle now. The Lakers are already stretched thin. One outlet flatly noted that the Lakers have limited financial flexibility after all the moves they have made this summer, but there's a way for the team to land Thompson while not absorbing any more salary, which is exactly why. The three-team framework involving Detroit keeps surfacing as the preferred structure. It lets LA add Thompson's salary without giving up rotation-caliber players in return, just second-round draft compensation. The Lakers also still have a separate roster problem to solve, regardless of what happens with Thompson. They need to shed size. There's an obvious connection to Jared Vanderbilt's situation. Reports note it's no secret that the Lakers have been trying to offload Vanderbilt's contract since the start of the offseason in a sign-and-trade deal for Jonathan Kuminga. If a Thompson framework can double as a way to dump Vanderbilt's money onto Dallas, it becomes twice as attractive to a front office trying to solve two problems with one signature. And the roster crunch is real right now, independent of Thompson entirely. As it stands, the Lakers roster is above the league-mandated limit, meaning a trade, a waiver, or most likely both are on the horizon. Something has to give before the regular season even tips off. That urgency is exactly why insiders keep floating Thompson's name in trade packages. Instead of treating it as an off-season afterthought, the Lakers front office has a real deadline pressing on them. General manager Rob Pelinka is the one who ultimately has to make the call. One report framed his calculus simply: if Thompson prefers the Lakers as his next stop, general manager Rob Pelinka might look to bring him in. Pelinka has already shown this offseason he's willing to be aggressive, reshaping almost the entire roster around Doncic in a single summer. Adding one more proven shooter to close out the picture wouldn't be a departure from that pattern. It would be the final piece of it. So say it happens. Say Thompson puts pen to paper and lands in Los Angeles. What does that locker room actually look like? And who's already standing in it waiting? Doncic is the obvious center of gravity here, and the connection between the two of them goes deeper than one failed season together in Dallas. One breakdown of the fit explained the full picture. Thompson's father played for the Lakers. They tried to sign Klay before he joined the Mavericks in 2024. And, most importantly, he already knows how to play beside Doncic. That's three separate threads of history, all converging on the same outcome: a father's old jersey, a recruitment that almost worked once already, and an on-court partnership that got cut short before it ever had a real chance to develop. Then there's Bronny. He's not walking into this as a footnote. He's the guy who's already spent 2 seasons quietly building his NBA identity in that exact building, and his path has been anything but smooth. His rookie year was a mixed bag by his own accounting, and executives around the league noticed the unusual grind he was going through. One anonymous Western Conference executive summed up the challenge bluntly, saying of James, "He's 20 years old," and explaining that his whole developmental trajectory had been thrown out of whack by circumstances beyond his control. He answered that challenge, at least partially, in year 2. Coach J.J. Redick praised the growth directly, saying of James simply that he's gotten significantly better, and the numbers backed it up. Over the 2025-26 season, James appeared in 42 games for the Lakers, averaging 2.9 points, 1.2 assists, and 0.5 rebounds, and continued to show progress as a perimeter defender and secondary playmaker. Not eye-popping numbers, but real incremental growth in exactly the role teams want out of a second-round pick. Someone who defends, moves the ball, and doesn't need the offense run through him. That growth is precisely why the Lakers made the call to keep him this summer. It wasn't automatic. His deal only became fully guaranteed after the front office decided against waiving him, a decision insiders tied directly to his late-season emergence. One report captured the moment plainly, noting that late in his second season, he emerged as an option off the bench amid an injury crisis, and even if he was phased out of the rotation as the game started mattering more, it was not just a sign of progress, but the first time Bronny had looked like a rotation-level player. The elephant that used to be in that room is gone now too. LeBron's departure changes everything about how Bronny's story gets read going forward. For 2 years, every minute he played got filtered through his father's shadow. Now that filter is gone. One report framed the shift directly, explaining that Bronny has been his own player and treated as such for quite some time. A quiet but pointed rebuttal to the idea that his roster spot was ever a courtesy. Now picture Thompson walking into that specific room, a 4-time champion who's watched every version of pressure there is. Finals losses, catastrophic injuries, a public departure from the only franchise he'd known, sitting next to a 21-year-old guard trying to build his own name away from his father's. It's not hard to imagine what kind of veteran presence that becomes for a young rotation piece finding his feet. And that's before you even get to what Thompson himself still means to the sport. Stephen Curry, his old backcourt partner, has never stopped speaking about their run together, even from the other sideline. When the two crossed paths again with Thompson on an opposing bench, Curry didn't hide how strange it still felt. He admitted candidly, it will never be normal seeing him somewhere else. But also, we're trying to deal with the here and now, reflecting on watching his old running mate wear a different jersey entirely. If Thompson ends up in Los Angeles next, that feeling only gets stranger, not just a different jersey, but a different chapter of his career entirely. One built around spacing the floor for someone else's superstar in the same city his own. Father once won championships in. None of the frameworks currently floating around are finalized. No trade has been signed, and Dallas has made clear it wants real value back before it lets him walk. But every piece of this story, the player, the front office willing to sell, the team building around exactly the kind of shooting he provides, and the young guard already occupying a locker a few feet away, is sitting in place right now, waiting on one signature to make it real.